What is up, you guys? Welcome to my channel, Sunrise Before Mondays, and today we are going to question these lovely couple. Today's video, I basically want to do like, how do you be in a relationship in a long time, especially at a young age? They were together since 15 years old. How did you guys meet?
Well, we met for the first time actually through a mutual friend, and coming into the summer of our freshman year in high school. And the first time that we met in person, we were talking over the phone. I didn't have a phone at that point. That's how long ago that was. But we first met in person we went to Skies when it was on my birthday. I remember the main thing we were thinking about was like if I was gonna be taller than her.
Yeah. So my starting of this whole ordeal was that I wasn't looking. I was 15. I was really dumb. I don't think I'm really dumb, but maybe just dumb now. But yeah, so I wasn't really looking into anything, and then my friend said, "Oh, there's this guy. He thinks that you're really cute. You guys should talk because I really love him and I really love you. So I want to see what this can look like." And like I said, I wasn't looking at it at all. As a matter of fact, when we even first started talking, I wasn't even thinking of it as pursuing it for a real relationship. It was just more like, okay, this guy seems really cool, and if this guy is associated to the friend that introduced us, nothing can go wrong. And then sure enough,
here we are.
He just was different than anybody that I had ever met, because we were 15. He was very ambitious. He spoke very well, and I hadn't seen that a lot. Especially with the school that I went to and things like that. I didn't see that often, so it really caught my eye.
So how many years or months, or how long you guys been together?
17 days will be 7 years together.
Okay, so that's a lot. So if you started at 15 years old, obviously, you're pretty much growing up together. And so what were the obstacles that were shown as you guys were progressing in a relationship? Because obviously, as we grow older, there's going to be problems. So how did you guys get through that? Did you guys have to cut off people? Did you guys have to just do certain things to, make sure you guys are being together?
I would say...
I want to go first.
All right.
So how it was really is Abel and I, and I'm really happy that we're doing this, and thank you for having us. But Abel and I, didn't have it all easy. All the things on Instagram, all the things our family sees, all the things our friends sees, it's cultivated from a really long and just people who are dedicated to saying love is a decision, and we're just gonna, no matter what it looks like right now, we're just gonna continue on. We're not gonna give up on that.
Yeah.
In our adolescence, it's very hard because we were living pretty much everything that can be possible in a sinful life. Doing things that young people are doing, and very young. I mean, at least for me, I started very young, with those experiences. So the obstacles were going out to a party and then, just being approached, or people saying oh, this is just a fling, or people not taking it seriously, because once again, it's very rare for young people to actually make it through. And so it was just cultivating all of that. It was dealing with all of that. And another thing that I feel was a major, I would say, obstacle in Abel and I's relationship that ended up becoming a blessing in Abel and I's relationship, but we see that now, but back then it was very difficult, was our difference in upbringing. And that's still to this day something that we're working on and seeing the strengths behind it. But it was very hard because our lives, just pretty much our entirety, is polar opposite. Yeah. Literally, that saying of opposites attracts, that's literally the definition of Abel and I. Raised completely different, characteristics are completely different, almost literally everything was completely different. And I think that what I know was the super glue to our relationship was the fact that we started going to church at 15. We started seeing what is an example of a real marriage. What's an example of real friends? What is an example of real love? And I think that was the super glue that every time we faced an obstacle, every time we would come back that Sunday. And to this day, it's been very few handfuls of these 7 years that we've missed church, because it's been our constant. You know, people go to the gym constant. People go. Our constant has been that. Our constant has been surrounded by the people of God. And I really do think that having that, especially not only for ourselves and for individual, but for our togetherness, it's truly the only reason why this was successful. Because everything else was completely going against this working. Everything else. Friends that may have tried to, God bless them, but may have tried to lead me to the wrong path. Right. Temptations, experiences, all of the above. That's what I feel. You, not even Instagram, but in real life, when you go to a party and you see a couple and you see they're so happy, and you're like, dang, you know, like, I'm happy, of course, but I don't have this 24/7. It's like this fantasy. It's this toxic mindset of comparison that in the end, all of those things were really arrows attacking us. It was real attacks.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest obstacles that, and Gabby mentioned it, is, that we grew up together. And normally people hear that and it's like, wow, that's really good. Like, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
It is. But it's a double-edged sword, because you're going up together, so you get to experience everything together. But everyone,
you're gonna experience everything together.
Well, yeah, that. But what I'm trying to get at is that everyone grows up differently. Everyone has starts to gain new characteristics, and grow at different paces. Someone might be growing slower than the other one, or faster than the other, vice versa.
Okay.
And that's something that that even to this day we're still working. A lot of people become distant, and that's why a lot of people fall out of love, is because they feel like they're doing more in a relationship, or they're more mature in a relationship. There's a lot of factors, but that's definitely a big obstacle. But it's one that we are, that we've worked through, and we're continuing to work through, and we're learning more and more every day how to deal with it.
Yeah, I feel like definitely a quality that, even though you guys are different, I feel like a quality that you guys both possess is maturity. Because the way you guys are speaking about, like, oh, you realize that the love that you guys had, it's not gonna be like in the movies, and to separate that takes maturity. And I think both of you guys had that, and I think that main quality you guys have in common, which I believe it's super important to have in a relationship at a young age. You're not mature when you're young, so especially at 15 years old. So I think that's something that, we've noticed. And as you guys are growing up, obviously you guys are probably hanging out a lot together, especially if you have this like puppy love. I remember you guys are always together. I would always try to like hang out with you, and it's like, oh my gosh, can Abel come? And I was just like, no, like girls time, like. So how did you guys ever set those boundaries? Because I feel like that's one of the importance, in a relationship, to have like space, individually, or like, what does boundaries look like to you guys?
At least for me, there weren't any boundaries. Like at the beginning, like what you were saying about like, oh yeah, I just wanted Gabby to come over. I definitely, at the beginning, when that first started happening, I was like, man, like, not even so much as like I was protective over Gabby. It was just like I wanted to fit in with her friends, which I understood that, like, like with time especially, and like I began to understand that. But yeah, at the beginning, that was definitely something that was like, man, like I just want to hang out, like not even just to be with Gabby, just to be hanging out with everybody else. But she didn't really have to deal with that on my side, because I never was like, oh, like she would never be like, oh yeah, no, I want to be there every single time when you want to hang out with your friends. And if she did, I wouldn't say, oh no, or none of my friends would say that, So yeah, no, I mean, at least that's how I felt about boundaries. I don't feel like we ever had to really set up boundaries in that sense of like being with other people or anything like that, because we both respect each other a lot. But yeah.
So yeah, I don't really like the word boundaries. Because boundaries, like, I just feel like that restricts freedom. Like, we're both, at the end of the day, two different people. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I wouldn't call it boundaries, but what I would actually replace that word with is we did start to develop and are developing constantly expectations. And so it's like when you go to this place, there's an expectation. When you go out on your own, there's an expectation. There's a level of respect because you honor and you love the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think boundaries, and I understand your intention with the question. However, I think, you know, like I said, I think we're really, really in the process, and we've always been in the process of expectations. And usually those expectations are typically very generic, you know, and very repetitive, you know, in the sense of, you know, make sure respect, you know, or if we're, you know, if we have a slip up in front of people, you know, let's talk on our own, you know, it's not like embarrassing each other. Just like the normal love that you should be showing to everybody. I want it to seem like we have a military relationship that has like no life in it. Like we're very happy and we have a lot of fun. But I mean, Abel hasn't even smiled once this video.
Well,
I hate this relationship.
But anyway, like, you know what I mean? I know that we're just trying to be like literal and stuff, but you know, we can have fun with it too.
Okay, so let's talk about fun. So what are things that you guys are doing and have done to keep the relationship alive? Because it could be, I mean, 7 years is a long time. I'm sure there was a point where maybe you guys got bored. Or not bored, but like, you know, just you need like some excitement, you know, in the relationship.
Yeah, whenever we felt like that, we end up jumping out of a plane or something.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, just anything like.
Anything.
And honestly, psychologically, that's super good.
That's true.
Like we used to. I remember like in the beginning of our relationship, we literally had an annual pass to Disney World, and I would remember like the real bliss that we would feel like in those moments, like of just like adrenaline. Like we've always been that way. And honestly, I can't imagine dating. I don't have to imagine dating anybody else because we're married, but I can't imagine dating somebody that didn't match that level of like excitement. You know, because it's just like. It keeps that fire going, and just like additional things, or like, you know, I made you like a date jar for your December. So like just like always trying to you know, have those intentional conversations and just like have fun, you know, and go out, and sometimes we have to play video games together. Sometimes we have to say no. Sometimes we do, just because we do. But most of the times, you know, we have to say no to our friends and things like that, and make sure we're being intentional.
But I'm gonna now ask individual questions that I think the audience would like to know, and I hope that you guys can acknowledge and give some wisdom to the youth. Abel, let's start with you.
All right, let's do it.
So, how do you feel about girls' night, especially like at a club? Did you ever feel some type of way when Gabby would go to those places at a young age, like 16, 17 years old?
When she, like, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before about like the like going out with you guys, like with the girls and whatever. At first, I was kind of like bothered by it. I was just more like, man, you know, like, not that I didn't trust her, it's just she's hanging out with people, and I'm pretty sure you at that time are single people, you know, so she's going to hang out with a lot of people that are single, and it just doesn't match the vibe of someone who's in a committed relationship. The same way, you know, I'm sure she would feel bothered if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go out with my boys to the club, you know, like, we respect each other on a personal level, but there's always temptation there, you know, like, even if it's not you, if something else happens and you're surrounded by people that are single, like, unless you have good friends, which we're very blessed now in this time that we do have an amazing circle, but in that time, the friends that we had, like Gabby was saying, we had friends, you know, and those are the kind of people that if something went down that obviously would put our relationship in jeopardy, they might just turn a blind eye instead of like stepping in and saying, hey, look, don't, you know what, like, maybe you've had too much to drink, or you're not thinking straight, or what are you doing, you know. It was people that just were there to have fun instead of have a meaningful friendship and try to help us build our relationship.
Correct. Okay, that's a good answer. And right now at the moment, how does your social media feed look like? I feel like a lot of right now in this generation, a lot of guys and even girls, you know, they follow people that seem very lustful, you know, say like there's guys with their abs and, you know, posing, and then there's girls with their bikinis and their butt
out. I have guys with the abs all over my thing.
So how does that look like? Like, do you like those girls? Like, I don't want to say you like them, but I'm just saying, like, how does this look like?
To start with, I barely go on social media. And when I do, I literally only go on to like my mom's posts, Gabby's posts, your posts, and my church's posts. That's it.
So they're that guy with no social media.
There's a lot out there, bro.
Yeah, honestly, so like being super engrossed by social media, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But you're like, that's like feeding yourself like off of comparison, and it's not really healthy in my eyes. That's just my opinion. That if you're just constantly consuming that, like, oh, these people like that's not only for guys, it's for girls too. Like,
right.
You're constantly like, oh, what if, like, it's like, what if I had that? What if my relationship was like that?
Yeah.
And you start letting those thoughts consume you. You're consuming the media, but it starts to consume you in the end, and that's like really bad.
Okay, cool. And did you ever have any girlfriends throughout the relationship with Gabby? Like, any girlfriends?
Oh, girl. Okay, I thought
friends that are girls.
Friends that are girls. Yeah.
No, yeah, I had a few friends that were girls. The one that paired us up was actually a girl that I knew before we even knew each other, and we were super close. But she was also super close, so it was just like a super close, between the three of us. There was actually, right before we started dating, there was a girl that I wasn't like, not like romantically close, but we were like really good friends as well. Kind of on the same level as Nicole, the person who brought us together. Girl, like, literally, it was the decision that I had this conversation with Nicole. Like, she was like, you have to decide, like, you can't have this girl and Gabby come. And it wasn't even like, I didn't even see it like that.
She's like, what are you talking about?
Right, because
But you did like her. Why are you lying?
No, I did not like her like that. I didn't like her like that.
Crush on her.
The truth is spilling.
No.
Oh, I guess. Well, Nicole told me you did.
No, I don't know where that came from.
Okay.
But no, it's like I literally had the same kind of friendship that I had with her that I did with Nicole. Like, the three of us had this, like, because we had a class together, so we, like, kind of the same way that you, me, and Nicole were, like, super close. Obviously, you were my girlfriend, but like, was kind of like how I was with that girl before I met you.
But so she told you that you had to pick between me and her?
Not super explicitly like that, but she's like, you can't have, you can't have this girl there and Gabby come, because this is the first time you're meeting Gabby, and if you really want a relationship, she's gonna be like, oh, who's this girl, and I was like, oh, whatever, because I did want a relationship with you. So why are you making that face?
Because the only reason why she would say that is because you obviously had a like, you liked her. What?
No.
Why would it be that?
It wasn't because of me. It was because of you. Because she knew that you might get jealous or something. Straight up.
All right. Next question.
There's nothing else about it.
So, how do you feel like you serve your partner?
Oh man. So up until recently, we didn't have a. Oh. So yeah, I make her cookies. I make her coffee. I go out at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning to go buy her cookies.
Goals. That's how you're supposed to do it.
And then get back home.
If he will, he will.
Alright, yo, let's go, bro.
Alright, cool. Alright, guys. Thank you, Evil. Now it is your wife's. I was gonna say husband.
Bro.
Now it's your wife's.
I mean, this has been torture for me.
Your wife's turn. Okay, so did you ever feel a sense of codependency on Abel?
100%. Once again, we're gonna get that much into it. Abel and I grew up very differently. I grew up not by choice, but very independent. He grew up very dependent. I grew up in the extreme of independence, and he grew up in the extreme of dependence. And so, because of that, and because of being so young, it's really hard to calculate all of that. Because obviously, guess what? Women, we desire dependency. Even if we're independent ourselves,
right.
We need security. Mm-hmm. We need leadership. We need direction. We need that. We need it. Especially, bro. I mean, nod your head even more me. More than anybody. I would hate to date myself.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was probably way more, and I don't mean to be that way, more of the problem just because I couldn't let the control go. And I couldn't let, and he didn't have it naturally for him to lead yet because we were still young. He still needed to grow and mature. Long story short, we both had a lot of work to do in that area.
Yeah. So nice. So to clarify, just because I know it's easy to get off topic, but to clarify the codependency, with Abel, it was more he was independent, you were independent, and that was always like
that was always so hard because imagine when that happens, when the woman tends to carry like these leadership roles and all these things, then what tends to happen is then you end up being the pants of the relationship. Yeah. And then there's an expectation, there's a condition, and that's not good. Mm-hmm. Women, I don't care about, bro, once again, click off. I don't care about what society says about, whatever. I'm not going to get into that.
Don't click off the video, though.
Please don't. Support my BFF.
She keeps saying click off, but
what I'm saying is, because I know a lot of people get, because genuinely I know a lot of people get angry about this, but like, truth hurts. Like, literally,
but what's the truth?
Even like, so the truth is that the world wants to tell you, oh, men and women are equal. The world wants to tell you that right? Mm-hmm. But no, there's an order behind things. The man is called to lead. And women are amazing leaders in certain things.
Right.
Amazing, phenomenal. There's things, women are just incredible. Men are incredible. Let them be their nature strengths, because I'm telling you right now, and that's the answer to the question. The moment you mess up the order, you're bound to fail. And I'm telling you, we learned that the hard way. Because we would have failed. And we were failing for a long time. So that's what I think.
Cool. So second question, did you ever feel a lack of trust with Abel? Was there ever a moment that you just feel like I can't trust Abel with this? Or was there a moment of like...
Well, and this is just funny. I fully trust Abel with everything. I've never felt that. But at the same time, he would make a lot of jokes. Mm-hmm. Like gay jokes.
Oh God.
Remember when we were like little? Mm-hmm. Like with his friends.
He still does it when he's with his friends.
With all his friends. I don't know what it is, Monica. You remember, like, we would be in shock at 15. It was like, you know what I mean? It was the humor of that time. Yeah. Praying over that he still works on that, because that's a whole nother video. I genuinely felt concerned. I actually didn't know the Lord at this time. But I literally was going to put him in a lie detector. I was going to pay money to see the little machine and ask, but obviously that's like just being, that's just being funny with the question. Yeah. I fully trust him with everything. I've never felt once a doubt. He's never given me a reason. All of that honesty is the equating in trust.
Okay. So how do you deal with Abel not going with his word sometimes? You know how how guys can be like, oh baby, like I'm gonna start doing this, and like it doesn't happen. What do you guys, what do you do with that?
Well, you know what, at the end of the day, he has his own walk. You know what the real answer is? You really need to let go. Our pastor this Sunday, he said, when you are trying to take a splinter out of somebody else's eye, you have a log in yours. Meaning, when I'm pointing at you like this, there's 3 fingers pointing at myself. Mm-hmm. And so what kept happening is that I really did genuinely do it in love, trying to get him consistent in many things, because once again, we all lack it. We all have flaws. Mm-hmm. And of course, you love the person so much, you want them to be the best version of themselves. But really trying to do that actually delays the process and actually makes them not want to do it more. Because they always say, oh, women are complicated. Bro, I'm about to start doing #men are complicated. Genuinely. Because I think both parties.
Especially
because they may seem, oh, I'm simple-minded. But bro, there's formulas to this. Because it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because especially imagine this, with his dependency, if I were to continue, do this, all I'm doing is delaying his chances of actually growing independently and actually formulating his own thing and his own thoughts and his own motivation. And don't get me wrong, there was many times that I would have to sit on my hands. And don't get me wrong, I still have to do that. But I realize that the growth happens in the waiting. The growth happens in his timing. And we lack in consistency all the time, but what you've always taught me, and what I think really essentially it comes down to, is like you really, the person genuinely needs to want the change and understand the change. The discipline that we are in ministry right now was only because of the fire burning inside of us that drove that motivation.
Yeah.
Without it, for sure we wouldn't. 100% not. God gives us the strength to do that, of course. But doing that whole thing, listen, ladies, men, who you date, fall in love with that person, not the potential of what they can be. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna grow. Let them grow. That's not your, hey, I have way too many things, genuinely, and I don't mean this selfishly, I actually mean it selflessly because I want him to grow. I have way too many things that I need to work on within myself that I'm not trying to have a kid at 22. And it took me 7 years, and it's still taking me, if I'm being honest, to this moment to realize that. The more I step back, the more people step forward. That's hard because you care and you want to be. You feel like I just felt like I had so much to offer and I had so much that could help him. And I did the planners and I would do the schedules and I would throw that all away. Because once I did, trust me, he went 0 to what? 150.
Okay, I like that. Do you feel like a self-care, is essential in your relationship? Like, you want to have your own space, you just want to have your own girls' day or spa day, whatever. Do you feel like that's something that is valuable to have in the relationship?
It's a double-edged sword because Abel and I literally can't get enough of each other. We're literally best friends. I legit, I really always want, everything that I do. I remember you told me this once too. Everything that I do, I'm already picturing how it would be if Abel was here. You know what I mean? Literally in everything. Even when I go to the bathroom, TMI. I'm like, man, Abel usually sits next to me, and we talk or whatever. And he makes a stupid joke and it pisses me off and I get out. Never mind. But you know what I mean? I genuinely love his company. And it's funny because I don't know. I feel like it's really beautiful because when we're together, we still give each other space. When we're with our friends, we really try to be attentive to them.
Yeah, it's kind of like asking your friend to come over just to do homework together.
It's literally like a best friend. You know how there's been many times we've been 8 hours together. Yeah. We don't even we say one sentence to each other, but we're still in each other's company. Yeah. However, with saying all of those things, 100%, if you're not taking care of yourself, it's gonna reflect on the relationship. So you always have to make sure am I giving into me right now?
What is that self, let me just work on myself for a second. Besides reading the Bible and going to church and what are your hobbies, fun things to do, as a woman to be on your own?
What I was about to say that one of my favorite things is walking my dogs in the morning. Cause they always say it's beneficial to walk outside when you first wake up, and that's forced me to do it. But genuinely, just hearing the birds, I don't even take my phone. I should, just in case something happens, but but it's beautiful, just taking a walk, or I really do recommend journaling, or reading a book. Just kind of your mind off for a second and sort of a meditation or just a holistic type thing. Yeah. Where it's just man, I'm genuinely pausing and reflecting on what everything's looking like. My favorite thing, honestly, about space is the feeling of missing him. Every time I'm at work, still 7 years, I'm still man, I can't wait to get home, and I wonder how he's gonna say hi to me. Is he gonna I literally think about these things in my head. Yeah. And I'm excited, you know? So like that's what's a good thing about space too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is like you really like start to appreciate a lot of the person, because sometimes like even living together, you know, even just us two like living together, you sometimes like lose sight of all of these amazing qualities because you're just so comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's good to like step out, you know, kind of like third person it a little bit, and then come back in.
So thank you guys for asking your individual questions. I think that was very well put. All right, guys. So last question of the video, and it's gonna be a little challenge, just because I know you guys can ramble off. So what's the number one piece of advice for at least a successful relationship? Because that's what you guys have shown so far. So in one sentence.
I'll go first. The best thing I would say for a new couple or any couple is don't go to bed angry.
I like that a lot.
That's what we've done in our that's what we've done in our relationship from the beginning, and we agreed on that, and that's honestly saved a lot of heartache. Go to sleep upset with each other. That's really helped a lot.
Gabby?
The closer you get to God, let's say God's here, put God.
Look, this you're you and I'm me.
Teamwork.
This is God. This is God.
Okay. The closer you get to God, the closer your marriage will come together.
Ooh, I like it. I like
and
it a lot.
that's on period.
Period. I like it. Alright guys, there you have it. I just interviewed my best friends. I've known them for so many years. I thought this would be an awesome idea to just ask these questions and give people an inside look of what a relationship looks like from an early age. They've been dating from
I want to hear low-key your perspective. I feel like the audience would want to know that.
What perspective?
The fact that you've literally been part of our entire relationship.
Yeah, I was going with that.
Oh, I feel you. Okay. No, yeah, I think that's why I was like, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so it's been honestly really cool to see them grow, because they're the opposite of what generation called love is, and I thought that was cool because I got to witness that, and I think what they share is so valuable for you guys to see. And so I hope you guys like the video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And bye.
Bye.
Peace.